Karine Jean-Pierre said it was only negotiations between Russia and the United States. But the reporters here who did a fabulous job in questioning her on this go, well, what about the Saudis? What about the Arabs? It seems like they were involved in some way, shape, or form. We got reports that they were involved in some way, shape, or form. Karine Jean-Pierre says they weren't involved. But then when Peter Doocy steps in the kind of the mixture later on, he kind of exposes her and she kind of lets the cat out of the bag. Let's go ahead and roll it.
Thank you, Craig. Quick question on Saudi Arabia's involvement in securing Griner's release. How do you view the Crown Prince's involvement here? Do you view this as an act of good faith? And how do you think this will help them as the U.S. reevaluates its alliance with Saudi?
So, as I've said before, this negotiation was between the U.S. government and Russia. And that's how we were able to secure Britney's release. And I don't have anything further to share on that.
So there were U.S. officials on the background call this morning thanking the Emiratis, for example, but there was no explicit mention of MBS and the role he played. I mean, is the administration still extending their gratitude or thank you to?
So again, the only countries that negotiated this deal were the United States and Russia. And there was no mediation involved. We are grateful for the UAE, as the president mentioned, as I am mentioning now, for facilitating the use of their territory for the exchange to take place. We are also grateful to other countries, including Saudi Arabia, that released the issue of our wrongfully detained Americans with Russian government, that raised that issue. But again, I don't have anything more to say. But when it comes to her release, it was between the U.S. government and Russia.
Okay, we need to hold on to that because we're going to connect the dots here for you. We got it all lined up. She said there's no mediation. The negotiations between Russia and the United States only. We're going to continue with MSNBC here on the line of questioning, and then we'll hit up Peter Doocy here for the follow-up and just a 1-2 punch. Let's go ahead and roll it.
Can you help us understand, were there any other concessions that were offered as a part of this deal? Did the U.S. give anything or get anything that has not been disclosed as a part of this deal? And just to try again on a question that you've gotten, how does this deal not send a message to Russia and to other governments that if they wrongfully detain American citizens, that they will have some of their most dangerous criminals, in this case the merchant of death, released?
Look, I've answered this question multiple times, and I've said this, and you've all reported this, and you have seen this as well. Russia and other countries have already been willing to wrongfully detain U.S. citizens.
But does this encourage them to continue doing it, to do it even more?
Look, I cannot speak for other countries. That is not something that I'm able to do from here. What I can tell you is the promise that this president has made, right? We're not going to, certainly not going to talk about diplomatic conversations that may be occurring, right? Not going to do that. But we want American people to know that their safety and security is among our highest priorities. And we continue to work aggressively.
Nobody believes that. Look at our southern border. You have 2 million plus people coming across. You have over 250,000 a month. Don't give us this crap that you're all about security and all this other stuff. I'm presenting MSNBC here right now because Philip Wegman basically asked the elephant in the room what's going on. Okay, we'll get to that in just one moment, but I'm trying to set up Peter Doocy and Philip Wegman here for their questions because they do a phenomenal job. But she's going to push this security issue. Come on, nobody believes you, Karine. Unbelievable.
Using every available means to bring home all U.S. nationals wrongfully detained or being held captive here. This is a promise that the president has made, and we are not going to apologize for it.
And on the statement that was put out that the governments of UAE and Saudi Arabia were engaged in mediating this deal, some have drawn a link between the fact that the lawsuit was dropped just days ago against MBS for the killing of Jamal Khashoggi. What do you say to those who see a link in this broader deal?
Look, this negotiation was in the works for months, as I just laid out. I just went through the timeline, right? We talked about Secretary Blinken being very public in July. We have been committed throughout this year to bring home Britney and Paul. And we've laid out the timeline of how this is all worked out. And this has been through painstakingly extraordinary conversations that have been had, and that has been the focus. It's been specifically on those negotiations, channels that have been clearly open, right, that were private, that were public, and I'm just not going to get into details on negotiations and what was worked through.
One more quickly, Leader McCarthy has called this, quote, a gift to Vladimir Putin, saying it endangers American lives. Your message to McCarthy?
Again, sadly, Russia and other countries have already been willing to wrongfully detain U.S. citizens. This is something that they have been willing to do.
And what is contention? This is a gift to Vladimir Putin.
What we have said, and basically, I'm just going to repeat what I have been saying. The president is committed. And has been very clear, and we have seen his work. Right, we have brought home people who've been held hostage and wrongfully detained over the course of his administration, and across different countries, as you all know, as you all have reported on this. He is committed to making sure, or doing everything that he can, to bring home Americans who are being wrongfully detained abroad. And that is his commitment, to bring them home safely, to bring them back home to their families and their loved ones. That is the commitment that this president has, and that's the work that you have been seeing from this administration.
All right, so we need to hold on to the aspect of mediation, saying that nobody else was involved in this, and you kind of caught a glimpse there of back channels, talking to other people were involved. You're going to see that kind of come out in the open here a little bit with Peter Doocy's follow-up, and also hold on the aspect of her saying, well, he's going to do anything and everything he can. We're all about security here for when we get to Philip Wegman's question at the very end. But let's see the gladiator, Peter Doocy, in the spotlight.
Thank you, Karine. In this prisoner swap, why did Russia get such a better deal?
Look, I've talked about this, and I'll say this again. Here were our choices. Our choices was Britney or no one at all. Bringing home one American or no American at all. And
they gave up a professional athlete. We gave up a prolific arms dealer who was convicted of trying to kill Americans, who was called the Merchant of Death.
The professional athlete is also an American citizen. So let's not forget that. Who deserved,
American citizen,
and
so
and I've explained how the Russians have illegally totally illegitimately treated his situation. I've been very clear on that. We've laid that out for you, and again, the president felt that this was an opportunity to bring Britney home. He is going to continue to do everything he can to bring Paul Whelan home, just like he did with Trevor Reed, just like he was able to secure Trevor Reed's release.
How can you say that he's going to do everything that he can if he said just a few days ago he's not going to call Vladimir Putin until further notice?
Damn, Peter! That's my boy. We call him the gladiator for a reason. It's the same thing, right? Jen Psaki said the same thing about the border. Oh, he's doing everything he can. He's losing sleep over it. It's just a challenge. It's not a crisis. Then she was echoing the same thing. And now Peter Doocy's follow up here in terms of, oh, well, he's going to do everything he can about getting people back, but yet he's not even going to talk to Vladimir Putin. He's not going to do the things necessary, meaning doing everything he can to actually get them back. Love the question, Peter. Let's see your follow up.
We were able to do this through different channels, right? We were able to do this through different avenues, folks from the U.S. government that were able to make that negotiation, have those conversations, and secure Britney's return. So we have been able to do this, and the president has been committed to getting this done. We are still working to secure Paul Whelan. At this time, we were not able to make that happen, but that does not stop us. That will not stop us in making sure that Paul returns back home safely to his family.
And just one other.
Man, I'm telling you, folks, it seemed like she was trying really hard not to say that there wasn't other countries involved. I'm just saying, that's how I'm reading it. Listening to the entire press briefing, only selecting a few clips out of the entire briefing, it seemed like she was really hesitant on talking about the Saudis and the Arabs and the whole, Khashoggi, P5 from Nogi, whatever his name was, dropping the lawsuit. I find it really suspicious, folks. I think there's a lot of stuff going on. I think the deal was a shady deal. I mean, it's shady off the get-go, right? An athlete, a WNBA star, if you want to use the word star. I mean, really, nobody shows up to the games. Like I said, nobody knew who the hell she was before this happened. With an arms dealer that threatened to kill Americans and still a threat that has actually ties to the Saudis as well. I mean, the spider web that this is, you guys, behind the scenes is nuts. I mean, we can't even present it here on the show because it's so freaking at length. He has connections to the Saudis. He has connections going way back, like decades. His connections, obviously, to the Russians and other outlets. It's amazing here that it's all connected, but she doesn't want to talk about the Saudis. I think there's a lot of shady stuff that went on behind the scenes here. I think other people got deals, which she said that they didn't. She said that nothing happened from the MSNBC reporter. It was just a straight up trade. I don't buy it one bit. Not one damn bit.
Topic. You've said a few times that you really can't talk about communications between the Biden campaign and Twitter. Who is telling you that that's off limits?
I've already had that conversation with you, with your colleague, I believe, yesterday. I've already addressed this multiple times this week, so I don't have anything more to add.
You didn't address anything. The question was different. She's talking about Jackie Heinrich of Fox News, his colleague, who we love here on the Bald Brad Show, that, you know, she questioned, yes, her about Twitter, but his questions is you're using the Hatch Act to not talk about it because you're like, oh, it's the campaign. It's a Hatch Act. Sorry, I can't talk about it. It's a Hatch Act. You know, how convenient. So he's saying, who's telling you this? Who's saying that you can't answer this question? And she's going, well, I already answered it. Nobody even asked you that question yet. So what do you mean? How can you have answered it if nobody asked you it yet, Karine? God, this lady.
Again, we've litigated this all week. Don't have anything to add.
So not a campaign
I'm going to the
question,
back. I'm going
an
to the back.
administration-
I'm going to the back. Go ahead.
Of course she's going to go to the back. She's going to run away because she knows that something is between Twitter and the Biden administration. It's already been ousted somewhat. They're trying to gather more information, but she's going to run away with it. Oh, we litigated it. No, you litigated it between you and yourself, Karine, because you came up with your own questions and you answered them. So you didn't litigate anything other than with yourself. So don't give us this whole spiel of like, oh, well, we hatched it out, Peter. We dealt with it already. But by the way, the Hatch Act, everything's the Hatch Act. So there you have it. That portion of, I think there was some mediation between the UAE, the Arabs, the Saudis, I mean, everybody. I think everybody brokered a deal here. Everybody benefited other than us. I think the Saudis benefited. I think the Russians benefited. And who the hell knows else benefited other than us, because we got a WNBA star while we got another Marine sitting back, Paul Whelan, in freaking a gulag or a prison. Isn't that just lovely? But like she said, you know, Britney Griner is clearly the best America has to offer. She's the epitome of what America looks like. Unbelievable. I hope you enjoyed that clip from the Bald Brad Show. If you did, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you can stay up to date on all our future content.